What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and continue learning about the biggest culture shocks of moving to England. Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, feel free to go check that out or stay here in Part 2. That's perfectly fine as well. But in Part 1, I discovered there are some pretty significant differences between living in England versus living in America. Some of the stuff we talked about, I learned about how things are smaller in England, and not just the food, not just the portion sizes, but even stuff like the roads in England are smaller, which made me quite nervous, honestly. I think, man, are Americans, do we just need that much space? Are we that bad at driving? That actually kind of blew my mind a little bit and made me a bit nervous. And apparently, signs, lettering, and signage in England is more colorful. I didn't even realize what a dark and dreary, boring existence we were living here in America with our lame signs that are all one color, like green. And apparently, there's a lot of signs and a lot more color and stuff that goes along with that in England. That was very random to me, but sounds nice, honestly. And what else? We kind of left off talking about holidays, and according to this American that we're watching here today, she has moved to England, and she's talking about all of these culture shocks. She also said that she thinks holidays are taken way, way more seriously in America, as in we just go way over the top with like the decorations and even holidays that are like for children, like Halloween. Adults in America, we definitely, it's basically like an adult holiday at this point. It's kind of funny, actually, and that's kind of what we left off with. I'm curious to see what else we're gonna discover here today in terms of culture shocks of living in England and how it's different to living in America. So let's take a look.
When I say Americans take holidays like that very seriously, I mean like they literally, it's very, I don't know if this is the correct word for it, but very like commercialized. In America growing up, I remember people used to literally like do haunted houses in their house.
Yeah, commercialized. That's true. I mean, is it not commercialized in England? Everything is commercialized here, honestly. I mean, we have we have like prescription drugs in our TV adverts, like in our commercials and stuff. Everything is for sale and advertised in America. Definitely holidays. Like here, when Halloween or she was also talking about Valentine's Day, when that comes around, all of the stores like put up decorations and make these huge displays of all the candy you can buy and the costumes or whatever, flowers. And yeah, it's very, very commercialized. Like, make no mistake, in America, they're trying to sell you stuff. And Americans seem more than happy to buy it, honestly. It's just like normal. It's normal here that they're trying to sell you all this stuff for the holidays. It's got to be like that a bit in England, right? But I guess her point is it's ramped up to like 10 out of 10 here in America. And I've never even thought about it that way. But when she points it out, that does seem true. I think we've all just kind of accepted it here as a fact of life.
House and literally deck out their entire house with like Halloween decorations, like proper, like go for it. And
Yeah.
here I don't see it as much. Definitely getting more of a thing, and like at
Oh.
uni it was like always like everyone dresses up to go on a night out. So
She's talking about like haunted houses. People in America will make very elaborate displays in their front yard, in their front lawn, with haunted houses and decorations and like I don't even know where they get the budget for this stuff. It's pretty insane, but it's really cool. Actually, it's really cool. I actually really like that.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't say it's not big here. It's just not as big. So that really tripped me
Okay.
up because it was like, I was ready to, like, I was always the one at uni that was like, oh, let's go buy decorations for the flat for Halloween. And like, even like, I mean, during Christmas is a different thing. But
Uh-huh.
during Christmas, I literally would create a winter wonderland in my house.
Right. Right, right. Is it? Yeah, this is very normal. Like university students, college students, like putting up decorations, going crazy for Christmas. Houses, like American houses, go nuts with decorations. Like, yeah, I always thought that was like a really enjoyable thing. I actually I don't view this as a bad thing. Yeah, we definitely take our holidays way too seriously, but I'm actually okay with that one. I'm okay with it.
Um, like I would like full on go like full elf mode, and I sort of dealt with that by basically being really like enthusiastic about it while I was here anyways. And like I
Right.
said, I know like people celebrate it here too, and it's definitely a thing, but like in
Yeah.
America it's just like a different level. I'm not even sure how to explain. Some
That's really interesting. That is interesting. I would be really curious to see the comparison. So yeah, it's kind of what I thought. Like people in England celebrate all of the holidays, perfect like normally. It's just that here in America, I don't think we even realize it, but we go way, way over the top, and we think that's normal. It's normal here.
Something that I noticed was like talking to my friends here about like celebrating Halloween when they were growing up.
Yeah.
And in America, you would go to school in your costume or go to work in your
Yes.
costume,
Yes.
and you would have like contests, and you would basically do nothing the entire day because it was Halloween.
Right.
Halloween. See, this is why I made a
Really? Yeah. Yeah. This is like fond memories, fond little American childhood memories of going to school on Halloween. Of course, you wear your costume, and like the whole school is decorated for Halloween, and there's probably going to be like, you're probably just going to do Halloween stuff all day, games and prizes, and yeah. What? Is that not so much the case in England? Man, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize how lovely it was here in terms of holidays. Yeah, sure, we waste a lot of money on all of the crap we buy for the holidays, but I actually kind of like how we do it. Okay.
skit about it because a lot, and I feel like a lot of Americans probably do say Halloween, but definitely where I grew up, I remember everyone saying Halloween. And that's why I say it, so I'm sorry, Halloween. And obviously, like, this one's a given, but people don't celebrate 4th of July or Thanksgiving here. So that was also like,
You know what? I never have thought about how other places might not celebrate Thanksgiving. There's no Thanksgiving in England? Yeah. I don't know why I've never like thought about that before. Of course. Man, yeah, 4th of July. Of course there's no 4th of July in England. That makes complete sense. I've never thought about how there's no Thanksgiving in other places. Man, I'm sorry. But there's probably holidays in England that we don't have here in America. So it's kind of a trade off.
something that kind of like made me feel a little bit homesick and was like a bit of a culture shock because it was like nothing was happening, and it was like obviously
Right.
America holidays, like I said, they're really big, and so like
Right,
with
right.
nothing happening on Thanksgiving and nothing happening on like 4th of July, it felt like
Yeah.
I was like in apocalypse. Like it was really like strange for me. And my uni housemates were actually really really sweet and like did like a Thanksgiving dinner.
A little mini English Thanksgiving dinner. It's funny because England like has a lot of really hearty sort of food with bread and meats and pies and puddings that I would like consider perfect for Thanksgiving. Like England, there's a lot of English food that would be perfect for Thanksgiving. Like I see them there with turkey and pie, and like there's even like English foods that you could incorporate. So I think England could do Thanksgiving quite well, honestly, if you were to come around. Give it a try, maybe.
It was a roast dinner, but it was like they made it into like a Thanksgiving thing for me, and that was
Yeah.
really sweet. And that
Yeah.
helped me out a lot because
Wow.
like it just feels so strange, and it still does. Like when no one celebrates it here
Right.
in America, like 4th of July is like
Right, right. Man, I've never. This is what I enjoy this a lot. Hearing from a fellow American about their experience in England, because this is really stuff I've never thought about that I just kind of assumed was normal everyday life, and it's just not in other parts of the world, which of course makes sense. Just for some reason, us Americans don't get outside that school of thought very often. That there's other places that do things differently. It's madness. I've never heard of such a thing. Yeah, Thanksgiving is huge in America. Huge. Everyone gets off of work and like travels. Like people will travel so far to go back to gather with their families wherever they live, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
massive, and Thanksgiving is obviously like a second Christmas to us. And so something else that someone asked me was like, what is a culture shock? What is a good culture shock anecdote? Which I thought was a great question. To be honest, I think the best like anecdote, if you want to call it that, would probably be to just embrace the culture and to learn about it more and more, because the more you learn about a culture, like the culture and the traditions here, and the more you actually learn about what the history is or like why they do that, the more you become familiar with it, and the less it becomes unfamiliar, the less
Right. I do like, honestly, it's kind of one of the coolest things about going to another country is the culture shock. Although I think at first it makes you feel like a fish out of water, like uncomfortable. You go to it like she moved to England and felt like just out of place and strange and like she didn't know things. But that's also one of the coolest parts of going to somewhere unfamiliar is getting to experience that newness and uncomfortableness. And honestly, the best way to even learn about that is to dive headfirst. Like the fact that she actually got to move to England and experience it and live it is like the best way possible. So and I am enjoying her insights, honestly.
it becomes unfamiliar, the more you're like, you know, you feel sort of more included. And also like just practicing getting out of your comfort zone and like really putting yourself into situations where you're experiencing the culture.
Yeah.
So like going out and meeting people and like talking about different things about like their culture, and like going to events as well, like bonfire night.
Bonfire
would always go
night.
with my friends.
There we go. Bonfire night. There's like an English holiday, British holiday. Bonfire night. That would be cool. See, it'd be sad for Americans to give up Thanksgiving, but then you gain a bonfire night, a whole new experience. And from YouTube videos I've seen about bonfire night, that's honestly, I would trade a Thanksgiving one year. I would trade a Thanksgiving for a bonfire night just to experience that.
Friends at university to like this park where they did like this huge bonfire for bonfire night,
Right.
and it was like a fair, and like that kind of made me feel a little bit more like I knew what was going on.
Right.
Otherwise it's just like you don't know, you don't understand it, so you're kind of like left in the dark almost.
Oh, there's so many Americans I think that have never even heard of bonfire night ever. And if they if they were in England and it happened to be bonfire night, they would be so confused about what is going on. That'd be so funny.
And you know, like you feel a little bit left out, and you still feel a little bit of that culture shock because you're like, what is going on?
Right.
I don't understand this. And in terms of the physical like symptoms of culture shock, because there definitely is like symptom, like more physical symptoms.
Physical symptoms? Physical symptoms of culture shock. I'm not sure what that means. Like feeling physically unwell because you're in such shock, or what?
I would say it's very similar to jet lag. Like it just makes you feel very disoriented, and like it's really really exhausting because I feel like you get like sensory overload a little bit because you're looking at everything and trying to figure out what's going on. Say like just make sure you get enough rest while you're traveling, because like I remember like I
Yeah. like Americans in general, we don't travel outside of America that often. I think people in the UK, like a fair amount, travel outside of the UK to other parts of Europe and even America way more often than Americans like explore outside of America. So yeah, this whole concept of going to another country would be honestly like a really stepping outside of the comfort zone for a lot of Americans. And most Americans will never even step foot outside of America their entire life. And that's not totally abnormal here.
Said earlier about me coming over for the first time and like literally being like shocked immediately as I got here and like looking out the window of the car and like what the fuck is going on. I literally got back to the place that I was staying at and I just passed out for ages. I slept so much.
So the old pass out from shock, from culture shock. Oh my god. It would feel, oh man, it would be a strange feeling. Like, I don't know, but it'd be exciting as well, right?
So just making sure that you rest enough and you hydrate and just chill. Try and chill as much as you can.
Oh my
because
God.
like otherwise you just really you're in a state where like anything could really irritate you or could really like just make you feel overwhelmed. So just
Wow. I guess this varies from person to person, but I think, she's somewhat like on track here for a lot of Americans. The shock of going to a whole new culture, a whole new place where there's no Americans. It's a whole other country, another nation. That is a feeling most Americans never experience or experience like once when they decide to go on a vacation, a bucket list trip to like Europe. And yeah, I could see where it could be a lot. all the people in England like see the Americans like falling over from shock, and they're like, "Oh, there's the Americans. They'll be okay. They'll be okay. Just let them lay there for a few hours. They'll be fine."
chill and like relax and take some days to just take it all in. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to do another one where I talk about more of the culture shocks that I've had here, because there's definitely more. These are just kind of like the bigger ones that I've had. So yeah, and if you have any video...
Interesting. So the biggest culture shocks of moving to England for her, well, one of the ones she talked about the most was the holidays, and how we have different holidays in America and England, and how a lot of holidays are way more commercialized here in America. Like they're trying to sell you stuff a lot more here, and it's like really apparent in the stores and even like online and stuff. There's a lot of advertising to you, a lot of marketing, and that Americans take holidays like very seriously in terms of decorations and like preparation and like that kind of thing and celebrating, which is, I actually kind of like that about America. I didn't realize that kind of thing could be different between America and England. That is interesting. But I guess it kind of makes sense because as Americans, we're kind of known for being a little more gregarious and like loud and big, and like it can be annoying, but it also can get us really exciting, interesting, big holiday displays as well, apparently. And what else? She also talked about how things were smaller in England. The food, I think I would literally starve to death because the food is smaller in England, the portion sizes. She said that she literally lost like a bunch of weight moving to England, which for a lot of Americans, that could actually be a little life hack. Just move to England. Instant diet. You're literally given less food. You don't even have to try. And she said like the roads were smaller, which is just scary to me. And what else did we have? Accents, of course. Accents. A lot of a lot of Americans are familiar with like what we think of as the standard British accent. that we hear in movies and TV. And we can't even tell the difference between if there's little differences between the British accents. But apparently, when she moved to England, she immediately noticed there were way, way more accents than she had ever imagined, which I think a lot of Americans would be really shocked by, honestly. But yeah, I actually enjoyed this video quite a bit. This was by Andrea Celeste, and I gotta give that a like. That was quite good. It's fun hearing about these experiences from another American who actually has been to England and lived it. Because that's an experience you can't have unless you go do it yourself. So it's at least fun for me to get to hear it from someone who has firsthand experience doing that as an American. This is actually really interesting, and it kind of opened my eyes up to a lot of differences between England and America that I had never thought about before, honestly. So this was quite enjoyable. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, perhaps with your opinion on big culture shocks of living in England compared to America. Big differences. That'd be very interesting to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Britain and British culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.